In today's episode, we're talking about one of the most confusing stages of narcissistic abuse. The moment you feel something is off, but instead of recognizing the problem, you blame yourself. Hi, I'm Kyle Hackley, attorney and author of Undercurrent, where we follow Annie's journey through narcissistic abuse and beyond. Although we use Annie as the catalyst for our conversations, please don't forget, Annie isn't just one person. Annie is anyone, any woman, any man who has experienced narcissistic abuse. So let's talk about it. You feel that something is wrong, but you can't quite put your finger on it. You're constantly walking on eggshells, trying to keep the peace. You wonder, is it me? Am I the problem? Because every argument, every moment of tension somehow circles back to you taking the blame. This is what it feels like to be in the storm of a narcissistic relationship. Before you even know what's happening, you haven't yet named the manipulation. When you don't realize you're being gaslit, when you haven't connected the dots yet. But deep down, something just doesn't feel right. I'd like to break it down, why this happens, how narcissists condition you to blame yourself, and what it takes to break free. And to bring this to life, we're going to look at a moment from Undercurrent, where Annie finds herself caught in this exact trap. In Undercurrent, there's a moment when Annie and Santino are getting ready for a wedding. She's all dressed up, feeling confident in the outfit that she chose. But then out of nowhere, Santino goes into her closet and pulls out a completely different outfit and demands that she wear his choice instead. For one of the first times in their relationship, though, Annie pushes back. She asserts herself and says, no, I'm already dressed and I'm going to wear what I picked out. And what does Santino do? Of course, he holds a grudge. Then they get to the wedding, but at the reception, he refuses to dance with her. He's distant, cold, punishing her in a way that only Annie understands. The silent treatment, the lingering tension, and here's a moment that so many people will recognize. Annie folds. She internalizes the blame, and she tells Santino, I made a mistake wearing this dress. I'm sorry. Can we just enjoy the wedding? Now, Annie did nothing wrong, but still she believes that if she apologizes, if she smooths things over, if she takes responsibility for his reaction, maybe she can fix it. But she can't, because the issue was never about the dress. It was about control. This is what happens where you're in the storm of a narcissistic relationship. You don't see the manipulation clearly yet. You just feel the tension, the unease, and the conflict that never fully resolves. And so you blame yourself. You think, well, maybe I was being stubborn. Maybe I should have just worn the dress to avoid the fight. Or how did I misread the situation so poorly? The narcissist conditions you to believe that their reaction is your responsibility. They punish you, could be subtle or overt, but until you start anticipating their moods and adjusting your behavior and walking on eggshells to keep the peace, that's what they're going to do. Over time, you don't even realize this is happening. You just know that certain things set them off, and avoiding conflict becomes second nature to you. Here's the kicker. If you ever bring up one of these moments later to them, they're going to gaslight you. That's not what happened, and you're just blowing this whole thing out of proportion. You're too sensitive. You ruined the wedding by making this a big deal. Does that sound familiar at all? So now, not only do you blame yourself in the moment, you start questioning whether the problem even existed in the first place. The manipulation runs so deep that you begin rewriting your own memories to match it to their version of reality. So, how do you break free from this? The first step is recognizing the pattern. If you always feel like you're the one apologizing, even when you didn't do anything wrong, that's a big red flag. If every conflict ends with you taking the blame, no matter how it started, another red flag. If you feel like you're just constantly adjusting yourself to avoid setting off the narcissist, red flag. So the truth is, a healthy partner isn't going to punish you for asserting yourself. A healthy relationship allows both people to express preferences without it turning into a big power struggle. If you're in this stage where you feel confused, where you keep blaming yourself, where you feel like something's wrong, but you just can't explain it, I want you to hear this. It is not you. You are not imagining it. Your feelings are valid. You don't have to shrink yourself to keep the peace. You don't have to apologize for existing, and you don't have to take responsibility for someone else's toxic behavior. The storm wants to keep you lost in the fog, but clarity is coming. And when you start to see it for what it is, that's a huge step toward your freedom. And if this episode resonated with you in any way, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please share them in the comments or reach out on my email, because that's why UNDERCURRENT exists. When you share your story, you're not just speaking for yourself, you're lighting the way for someone else. AreYouAnnie is for both men and women, for anyone who needs validation and support. It's about walking through fire to reach the other side of narcissistic abuse. It's about reclaiming the pieces of who you are and stepping back into your power. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe. I truly believe doing so will help others find us. And as always, you're not just a survivor. You are a warrior against narcissistic abuse. And I want you to remember that you are stronger than you know. I want you to be tenacious and never give up on what you believe in. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. And until next time. Bye.